I want to briefly raise the lack of consultation with our people around these new firearm laws. From the beginning, there was little to none engagement with the community, least at all with the elders. Myself, I didn't know. While I recognise that some of the issues have since been addressed, the process was stressful, confusing, and left many of us feeling excluded from it all. We tried to raise our concerns through our own corporations, and I sat on the Whadjuk Aboriginal Corporation as a director, board of directors. Never knew anything, never was notified. The process was stressful and confusing for many of us who was excluded. We tried to raise our concerns through our own corporations and the South West Aboriginal Land and Sea Council. If those bodies were consulted, the information was not passed on to the community members and to our organisations. Many of our elders are not technically savvy and have to rely on other forms of help, word of mouth, information that way, which creates dependency and even trauma. Some elders surrendered their firearms simply because the process was too hard, in a too hard basket.
The Western Australian government has disarmed Indigenous Western Australians. I just want to make that very clear in 2025 in Australia.
Shifting the burden of men harvesting and cultural responsibilities into others in our Noongar community. Although we lived in a modern city, we remain deeply connected to our education, our practices, our hunting values, our traditional food and on-country. While the clarification have been made, it still feels like we are being asked to fit into the system that was not created with our nation or ways of life in mind. So to me, it seems, and I have to say this, I'm not slow coming forward, but we were put into too hard basket for us to manage. We still practice our traditional values. We still eat our traditional foods. I'm 67 years of age. I will continue to do that with my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, and the generations after that to come, because if they take that away from us, we're no longer Indigenous people on our own land.
I could say the same thing too. This is part of my culture and traditions growing up in outback South Australia with my father, who taught me the hunter-gatherer skills, who taught me responsible firearms training, who taught me how to be a self-sufficient woman. And as you just heard there, those kinds of culture and traditions, which is a legitimate argument that we can all make, by the way. It is not a race issue. This is our culture. We imported the culture of hunting with firearms to Australia. By we, I mean the British. I'm not British. I'm half Irish, half Italian. But we can make the same argument, and nobody did that. I would have if I was given the liberty of an invitation, but I am not a recognised representative organisation in the oligarchy that is Western Australia. And neither is my mate Jack out the back. And I know he's already done a video talking about how the report says that there were too many unsolicited submissions. How can they be unsolicited when it's from we the people? And this is the recommendation in relation to the right to hunt for Indigenous people. Finding 26, despite what you just heard in that video, the Firearms Act 2024 and the Firearms Regulations 2024 have sufficient regard to Aboriginal tradition and island custom in terms of allowing for traditional hunting rights and practice. She just said the opposite. And recommendation 4, that the Western Australian Police Force makes a referral to the state government's Aboriginal Advisory Group in order to consider how best to assist registered native title body corporates with the administrative duties that have come as a result of the Firearms Act 2024 and the Firearms Regulations 2024. send the cops in to assist them with laws that they have just said they were excluded from the process. They didn't know about any of this. Then when they went to try to participate, it was too difficult. So Indigenous people were put in the position, like the rest of us, hand in your guns if you can't figure it out. And they did. And now their traditions and their culture, it's being lost for the next generation. This is what I have been extremely concerned about, the extinction of the Western Australian shooter and hunter. I don't care about anything else. That is in my mind every day when I wake up, despite the fact that I'm on the other side of the world in Texas and I can go out with a 6-shooter on my hip and not even have to worry about this. This is what I feared when I was living there, and it is all playing out, and it is worse. It is such a nightmare. And it is disgraceful the way this government is treating we the people, let alone our Indigenous brothers and sisters. And this is also, I'll pull this up as well, this really irked me when I read this. So the committee had the gall to complain about how they were being treated as part of our submissions, some of the language that people used. Disappointed in the press coverage. They tried to ensure that all relevant interest groups were represented. However, some witnesses claimed they were not given enough time or the committee did not simply understand the evidence. Now, I will say, I just have to put that, been sitting on this. I did write a submission to this committee. I submitted it on time, Friday the 4th of July, Independence Day. This is how I spent my Independence Day. When they published these submissions on the website, finally, mine wasn't on there, so I said, mine hasn't been published. I gave you permission, please put it up there. And this is the response that I got. Dear Ms. Fantanel, the committee only gave public status to submissions received from organisations who were invited to submit. Those are the ones now uploaded to the committee's web page. No other submissions will be published, including yours. Thanks for making that clear that I am not part of the oligarchy. So the government there, this committee, they were very upset. And we couldn't have everyone. We could only have the people that we were told to have there. That's how it works in an oligarchy. Only a small group of usually men, despite the chair of the committee being a feminist. Geez, it would have been great if she went into bat for another female. But oh wait, I don't hold the same opinions as you on the left. So therefore I'm excluded. Now, so some interest groups, they didn't have enough time. And then they put in here, the committee said some interest groups did not make the best use of their time by simply repeating what they had already told the committee in written submissions rather than seeking to deal with questions. All witnesses were invited to provide additional or supplementary information after the hearings concluded. None chose to do so. None of our representative organisations who did were lucky enough, were part of the club to get invited to speak. None of them provided supplementary evidence which would have helped being on the records in Parliament about this hearing into the gun laws. Okay. Criticism of the legislation did not justify the level of vitriol and hatred handed out by some individual members of the firearms committee to the committee and to individual members serving on it. So your elected representatives, do not think that you should be allowed to get angry at them, despite the fact that you might have lost your entire livelihood, your ability to defend your property from pests and feral animals, because you can't defend your life. Farmers being disarmed, farms raided, people who have been dobbed in to hold so-called sovereign citizen views. You're not allowed to get angry at your elected representatives. Not justified to get angry at them. Are we creating a protected class of politicians now in Australia? Now, of course, I'm not calling for anyone to threaten them with violence, but I can understand why you are upset. I hear your stories every day, but you're not allowed to get angry at them. They've said they did read every communication received. Everything was taken into account. Where this report does not concur with the views of the particular submitters or witnesses, that does not mean they were not heard or understood. It is simply that the committee has taken a contrary view. When politicians no longer feel that they serve the people, when they don't want to even listen, when they run the state like it is their own business, and that we, the people, should not have any say in how our state, our communities are run, what do you call that? Is it a democracy? Is it a democracy that you want to live under? Because I sure as hell don't. I'll finish with this. I know it's a bit of a longer video today, but it's important. This here now. So the limit on the number of firearms has been a huge issue. It was not prosecuted enough by our representative organisations. And this is from the report. The committee heard many times, and this is in relation to farmers specifically, that farmers required more than 10 firearms because of the vast differences in the calibers required to manage a range of pest species or injured farm animals. However, David Marshall of the Australian Veterinarian Association told the committee that he carried a .22 Hornet firearm because, from a ballistics point of view, that is acceptable to euthanize anything pretty much up to a bull. The committee found Mr. Marshall's evidence persuasive and compelling. One bloke who represents the bloody vets, for some reason, thought it was a great idea to say, personally, I just carry this .22 Hornet firearm and she's all good, mate. This is why you have to be very careful who you send to represent you, because this is what you end up with. The committee found this one statement out of all the hours and testimony from other people saying, and there was another bloke sitting next to him, I played his video saying, explaining calibers to Dr. Katrina Stratton. She still doesn't get it, by the way. This bloke has said a .22 firearm is sufficient. So no, farmers don't actually need up to 10. What compelled you to say that? And the other crazy thing, okay, whatever, you forgive him for maybe he was nervous, well, whatever. This one bloke and his testimony has now solidified the government's justification of the 10-gun limit on our farmers and the 5-gun on the hunters too. This is how they are running democracy in WA. Cherry picking what people say to support them. This should never have been bloody said. And this is a situation we're in now. I will wrap up here. I know it's been a lot to get through today. I will do some more videos as it's just... I wish I could say I can't believe where we are now in October 2025. I was there on the ground when this all kicked off in March 2022. I will keep doing what I can. I'm putting out this information, this history. I'm a journalist. Firearms are my number one passion. If you like my content, please like and subscribe. Please share this if you're in Western Australia, or even if you're in America. People need to hear what is happening. This is one state, the biggest state in Western Australia. These laws will spread. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.